So I got arrested and kicked out of school on the same day. So I was about that life. I'm telling you, knock if you buck. All right. See, I was going to hold this, but we're going to talk about it.
There's only one. There's only one. It's only one. Just only one. Just love and happiness, beauty and hope.
Hey guys, it's Jess, and this is my husband,
Jonathan.
Welcome back to our podcast. I'm going to stop doing the quotations real soon to our podcast.
Like, when are you gonna...
I can't do it without the quotations.
Episode 3, she's like, podcast.
Podcast. Like, episode 30, I'm like, our podcast. Welcome back to our podcast. We're just going to get into a little topic today. We're going to talk about, I think, I'm sorry. Can I talk? This is what we're going to start with. We're going to see where it lands. We're going to talk about growing up as preacher's kids.
Let's do it.
Yeah. But before that, I just want to say, y'all, last night, we went to Chick-fil-A. And the guy at the registers told my husband that he looked like Michael B. Jordan.
The only thing I hate when, like, we tell people about people saying that, because people have said that a few times. People are like, oh, he thinks he's Michael B. Jordan. And I'm like, I don't. I never said that.
People do say it all the time. People say
he is
that.
a very handsome man.
He is, and so are you.
I appreciate you, but I'm not going to claim to be in that level.
You've never said it. Other people have said it to you for years. I've known Jonathan for years, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. And people in my comments, these are the people that people say Jonathan looks like. We get Michael B. Jordan. We get Donald Glover. And I got Marcus Houston a few times. You know who Marcus Houston is,
I don't even know who that is.
Before his time. It's all right. It's okay.
No, when the first time, like, someone said Michael B. Jordan, I was like, please be quiet. Don't let anyone hear you say that. Please.
Yeah, no, honestly, because, like, I follow the Shade Room, which I really need to unfollow them because it's so toxic. But whenever they post someone and they're like, y'all think she look like so-and-so, when the girl never said that, they rip her apart. Even if she kind of does look like her, people just hate when people say they look like someone famous. Even if you do, they're not giving it to you. So y'all don't do that to my man, please.
I would never.
Don't do that to my man.
It's not me. I promise it's not me.
Anyways, I don't know. When he said that, I got a little tingle. I'm like, you think so? I know that's right. You look better, though. All right, let's not do that.
Please.
No, you do. I don't want people to be like,
no.
Girl.
Stop. Please.
Okay.
I'm begging.
All right, so let's get into what it was like growing up as preacher's kids, because we are both PKs.
What made you want to talk about this?
Because
this is a just topic.
It is a just topic, which, do you want to switch it?
No, I'm cool.
Are you sure?
No, I just want to know.
Because we were gonna do sex part 2, but I feel like I want to wait a little bit longer.
I'm going to wait on you.
Hey. Yeah, I just feel like there's such a stigma around preacher's kids, and I feel like we came out all right, but I think also as preacher's kids, we went through a lot of stuff. Well, I'll speak for myself. I went through a lot of stuff. I was a typical preacher's kid, but I just kind of want to talk about the pressure and, like, for me, the living a double life and, like, finding Jesus on my own. It's kind of a testimony, but not so much, but kind of.
Talk to him.
But yeah, we went to different churches, obviously, growing up, and both of our dads were pastors. Your dad was like the main pastor, though.
Not always, though.
Yeah, what did he start when you were like 12 or 7?
No, I forget when exactly it was, but it was like I had to be like at least a preteen.
Yeah, like for at least the past 15
maybe like 14
years.
or something like that.
Oh, no, you're not 30. Okay. But a long time ago.
Yeah, good amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I was born, my dad was one of the pastors at my old church. My mom was like, she was everywhere. She was the leader of a whole bunch of things. And the pressure was so on growing up that I don't know if that's what made me rebel, or if I don't want to call it rebel. What would you call that? Just being a regular kid?
Yeah, you're being like everyone else.
Yeah, I was really like, I was doing the double life vibe. Like Monday through Saturday, turns up. I even went to church hungover a couple of times. And I didn't know I was hungover. I just had a really bad headache. But I was like, I didn't know that's what being hungover was. I thought you had to be like throwing up and stuff to be hungover. But I went to church with a headache so many times from what I was doing Saturday night. Oh, that's horrible. This is kind of cringy.
I mean, talk to him.
This is gross.
You wanted to talk about this. Let's talk.
I don't like it anymore.
You overcome by the blood of
Word
the lamb and the word.
Dang, I always do
Say
that
it
wrong.
backwards.
I always do word
The
of the
blood
lamb.
of the lamb
and
the word of your testimony. So you're telling them where you've been, like kind of like the song says, like you're living proof of what the mercy of God can do. Right? So it's like, if you knew me then, you'd believe me now.
He turned my whole world upside down. Oh, that's
took the old and he made it new.
Oh my goodness.
That's
gracious.
the song. So it's really just telling, them where you've been to show where God's brought you now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't need to feel shame over what was.
I know, but
because it's gone.
Cringy. It's kind of like in our last video when I was telling them the story about you kissing me on Christmas, and you're like, "Oh, I'm so cringe." Like you were like cringing, and like the old me was so cringy. That's how I feel about the old me. I'm like, "Ew, girl. Like, why were you doing that?"
I got you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, please don't.
So, anyways, so yeah, my dad was one of the pastors at the church. My mom was like the Sunday school leader. I was on the praise team. I was on the dance team. I was in every skit. Me and my brothers, we were at the forefront at all times. Eyeballs on us. And I remember my mom told me that someone told her, since we were such good babies, that we were going to give her a run for her money when we got older. And we did. Like, like I've been arrested. Like my brothers, I got kicked out of school. Like, oh my God.
Why'd you get kicked out of school, Jess?
For fighting. So I got arrested and kicked out of school on the same day. So it's not like it was different times. But I was about that life. I'm telling you, knock if you buck. And still, I'm still about that. I ain't no killer, but don't push me. Like, I'm a very nice girl, but don't play with me. But just, I don't know if my parents being so much into church had anything to do with it. Because, I mean, if my parents weren't saved and we weren't going to church, I don't think that would make me any better. Not saying that people whose parents aren't saved are not any better or any worse. But I am not sure if that had anything to do with how I grew up. I know I had a little bit of resentment because of how much we were at church. I just wanted to be normal. I'm like, can we be normal, please? Why are we at church for 10 hours on Sunday? My friends are at the beach. My friends are inviting me to birthday parties when I was younger. I can't go because I'm at church all day. And then when we moved 2 hours away from our church, I was really at church all day. Like, we moved 2 hours away, but we didn't switch churches. We were still driving 2 hours. So we spent
That's nuts, bro.
It's insane. My parents still do it to this day. 4 hours, pretty much, or it's kind of 3. It's an hour and a half. They spend 3 hours of the day on Sunday in a car, there and back. And then church is like 5 hours. So it's just a long day. So I was just over it. Like, I didn't want anything to do with church outside of church because I'm already at church for 10,000 hours throughout the week. But yeah, it was tough. It was real tough.
Pressure. You talks about pressure. You want to like get us into that, like feeling pressure?
I think one of the reasons why I also did feel a little pressured is because like there weren't a lot of young people at the church I went to. I can't speak for what's happening now, but there weren't a lot of young people there. So I was like one of the examples that they would use because there weren't people my age, but they were like a lot of actually kids younger than me and girls younger than me. It's like, you gotta be the example. Like, they're looking up to you. They're looking up to you. And I'm like, they're looking up to me. I'm looking down on me. I'm like, don't look up to me. Like, you have no idea. Like, blah, blah, blah. I remember one day, this was years after I was more so getting my life together. I wanted to give my testimony to those girls to like let them know more about what's going on and how you can prevent that. Because I felt like I don't want to talk down on my home church, my parents' church, my childhood church. Because that's my family. But I feel like there was so much of living this perfect image and nobody really kept it real. And like, I feel like I had to go find out things on my own, or like I didn't understand why I couldn't do things because it was just, don't do this, but why? So anyways, I remember I wanted to give my testimony to the younger girls and someone told me, don't say anything because I don't want them to know that's like that you went through those things or that you did those things. And that really hurt me because I was like, that they need that because that's what I needed. And I didn't get that when I was growing up. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, they put me on a pedestal. People say pedestal and it really bothers me.
Pedestal.
Like, they say stool. Because, I mean, I get it. People think you're on a stool, like you're higher, but like, that's not it.
No, not it.
Pedestal.
Still, like, it's A-L.
How do you spell that?
Pedestal.
How do you spell that?
Pedestal.
Pedestal. Oh, okay. They put me on a pedestal And I feel like I still am on one today. I went from like one pedestal to another because, of my YouTube channel or my, influence. When you're an influencer and you speak about Jesus one time, you only have to do it one time. You go from here, oh, you're just like everybody else, to you're all the way up here. You better not do anything wrong ever. Because now we're all looking up to you like, oh, we found a Christian influencer finally. You better be on point every move. But that's a conversation for another day. But honestly, low-key, being a pastor's kid is kind of like being a Christian influencer. All eyes on you, waiting for you to fall. Like, everyone's just like, it's coming.
I'm trying to think about my story. And So I don't think, on my side of it, I don't think people were waiting for me to fall, necessarily. Like, for me, as a kid, I was all churched out, man. My mom didn't let me watch, Harry Potter. They were like, couldn't watch Pokemon. I don't know why.
Is that an island thing or is that a church
it might
thing?
It might be an island.
Both.
It looked like demon thing.
Dopey.
Look like what's it called? The Digimon digital monsters. So my mom's really normal, but
she is very normal.
She's very normal.
You made her sound very unnormal.
I know, but as a kid, I was going to Christian school up until like 8th grade. I went to church. I was all churched out, but I'd get in trouble. I'd get in trouble at church all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So whether it be from talking back, when I thought something wasn't fair, whatever. But they used to bring me and my little brother out to my dad in big church all the time, all the time for not behaving. Like, it happened all the time. But all that while, like, every time there'd be like a competition, like with memory verses and stuff, like I would always, be, if not at the top, like towards the top. Mm-hmm. So like I knew the Bible and stuff, but like I was just kind of not necessarily following it really. Like I just wasn't really following it. So I didn't really feel too much pressure, like as a kid. But when I started feeling the pressure was when I was 15 at youth camp. I gave my life to God for real, like for real. So around right before that, like in high school, like I was doing all the other kids did. I was just being like trying to be like a normal kid, like not really following God. But when I turned 15 and I really gave my life to God, at that time our church didn't have a youth group, so I was like, let's make a youth group, and credit to my dad that he really believed in me and allowed me to do a lot of the things. But the flip side of that is now I'm 15 running the church's youth group, and that's when I started to feel a tremendous amount of pressure, because everybody in church, my friends as well, I felt the pressure of them looking up to me, like, now you're doing all these things. It's kind of like what you said about like once you talk about Jesus once, then it becomes like, oh, you're the guy. Oh, you're the guy.
Yeah.
And it was really hard at the time because, in my parents' church growing up, there was like an age gap. So like there were the older people, and then there was like us, and there wasn't too many people like in the middle, like where people like in the generation or 2 generations like above us to kind of like give that guidance. And a lot of my friends, me being like 15, 16, 17, like weren't at that space to be like walking with me. At least I felt like that could be the devil, and I'm saying like I was by myself. There was no one around me, that there could have been. So that was really hard for me. And anytime I messed up, I would live with a lot of shame.
Did you have anyone to talk to about that?
About the shame?
Yeah, like did you have like?
I mean, I could kind of talk to my dad, but it's like at the same time, it was my dad.
Right,
so,
like
I didn't want him to know.
Accountability, or mentor, aside from your dad.
Kinda, but like I had people that if I reached out to, they would listen to me and talk to. But it wasn't like anyone. It didn't feel like anyone was checking on me like all the time. My cousin Cameron did a good amount of times, but he has his own stuff to do too. So it wasn't like I had someone discipling me. So like around the time I was 12, 13-ish, I got addicted to porn, right? So that factor of it, like feeling tremendous shame and feeling like if anyone found out, like, you know, what I'm dealing with, like, it's gonna be over for me. Like, it's gonna be curtains. It's gonna be lights out. So that pressure was really a lot, you know, and I lived with a lot of shame from that, feeling like, I gotta not prove, but like I gotta live up to all the things that everyone believes in me for. You know, my dad's name is Gary. Or like, you're Gary's son, Gary's boy. You know, like, and just trying to live up to my dad. And not even mention my dad, like my grandfather was also a pastor before, and like he just had so many people that looked up to him as well. So it's just like generations of family doing everything right, and me feeling like everything in the world was teetering on my ability to perform at that same level. So that pressure was really hard.
It is hard. Wait, let me ask you a question. I don't think I've ever asked you this. How old were you when you got baptized?
Like, I don't know, 8, 9.
Me too. I was 9 years old when I got baptized.
Silly. So I didn't know what I was doing.
Did you?
All right, I'll go.
I was like,
I'll take the class.
Me and my brothers, we all got baptized on the same day. I'm like, all right, my brothers are going to the class. I'll go.
I'll jump in some water.
Oh my gosh, I remember the funniest story. I think we've said this in our group chat before, and you might not know this song, but do you know the song "Rainy Days" by Mary J. Blige?
No.
And Ja Rule. My brother, so if I was 9, Levon, 10, 11, 12, 13, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Levon is 9. No, I'm 9. Levon is 14. That's my oldest brother. We're all in the class together. And they ask him to pray. And there's a rap verse by Ja Rule. It says, "Dear Lord, won't you shower my pain? Let it rain on me while I cherish the air I breathe." Whatever. So Levon's like, all right. He's like, "Dear Lord, won't you shower my pain? Let it rain on me." He just starts saying the whole Ja Rule rap verse, and me and my brother are like, oh my God, we're not ready to be baptized at all.
No. Levon is the funniest person I know. I want Levon to be the first guest on this channel one day.
Oh my gosh. I was like, we're not. I'm like, why are we here? Because this guy is a joke. First of all, we was sneaking to even watch BET to even know that song, because wasn't no BET supposed to be on in our house. Every time we heard the garage open or the keys in the door, we run to turn off BET. I'm getting the chicken out the freezer that I was supposed to thaw out 4 hours ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, my mom's home. Everyone get in position. So it was definitely a struggle. Yeah, I got baptized at 9. I never did get rebaptized because I don't know. I personally didn't see the point because, like, yeah, when you get baptized, it's a declaration of your faith. And like at 9, I mean, I was walking, I was believing. I did believe. I've always believed. My belief never wavered. But I never felt a need after people saw it in my life to tell everyone again, like, just so you know, this is my public declaration. Like, it was obvious. Some people get rebaptized, and I don't see an issue with that. But for me, I was like, whatever. So whatever. Have you ever thought of getting rebaptized?
I did, but you know, even in that, like the conversation around getting rebaptized kind of falls in the same thing with like me back in the past, like going up for altar calls. Like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, I ain't going up for one of these altar calls because they gonna know I was up to something.
Mm-hmm,
like I can't let them know I was up to something, because
so
when they look at,
crippling.
it's the devil.
Yeah.
It's the devil, because it's like you feel like you have to live up to, you know, whether it's others' expectations of you or your expectations of yourself, when like you don't have to do any of that.
Yeah. And you know, I went through the same thing. Like we go to a church camp every year. We've been going there since we were born, basically. And I remember they asked me to be a counselor at age 17, and I was like, I don't want to be no counselor. I'm still outside. Like, if I'm a counselor, I need to change my life. But at 17, I was so outside. Like, it's crazy. But I remember, like, from age 17 to like 22 or something, every year, them altar calls, I'm like, dang, I need to go up there. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm like, I don't want my girls to see me going up there, because what it's gonna look like, I'm your counselor, but I'm going up there to rededicate my life. After the past 3 days I've been telling, it held me back a lot. And like, if they're ever like, raise your hand if you need prayer, I'm like, man, watch out, I'll pray on my own. I'm like, y'all don't need to know. There's like a little bit of shame, and I think it's self-shame, or like maybe the enemy. Like, nobody wants to raise their hand because nobody wants anyone to know that they're struggling in their faith or something's going wrong. It's just like, but that's what we're there for. We're there for healing, but nobody wants to outwardly get healed, you know?
You know, and it's also the way we kind of build up our pride, right? Because we're all, you know, like sinners, like in need of grace.
Yeah.
You know, and the way it's like the way a lot of preaching is done, or the way we think about it is that, all right, God saved me. Now I have to work to live up to it.
Yeah.
When it's like, if Jesus paid it all, he paid it all.
Right.
And it's like, so I think it's all identity, you know, a mixture of identity. It's like where we feel like we're fighting to live up, you know, fighting to make the identity that, like, you know, God says about us. And like when we do it in all our own effort, that's when we'll always like fall short.
Right. Yeah.
Because like it's not about like our efforts, but when we realize we are what God says about us, we can live from that, not live for that. Like live as like, I just gotta keep trying. I gotta keep trying to be good. I gotta keep trying to be good. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And I think like that mindset, especially for me, you know, it was just so hard. That was my biggest deal, like my whole life. You know, trying to like lack of identity, not knowing who I was. I have a question. Talking about like stuff that, you know, the church might have not necessarily prepared us for. And ask about kind of like about sex. Like, was sex ever like sex part 2 or whatever? Was sex ever really like a conversation?
All right. See, I was gonna hold this, but we're gonna talk about it because I mean I don't want all of our podcasts to end up with sex, but we're getting there. So, sex at my church, my old church. Like I said, again, love them to death. I go to bat for them. I get arrested again for those people. But sex was not a conversation. It was just, don't have sex till you're married. And really, that's law. I mean, it's in the Bible. But I, as a kid or like a preteen or a young adult, I needed a little more of an explanation. Okay, why? Like, I wasn't really getting a why or getting like, this is what happens to your soul or your mind or your body or not, anything. It was just, don't have sex till you're married. Don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex. But I wasn't understanding the repercussions of what would happen. So I was like, okay. The biggest thing I really knew is, obviously I knew that it was a commandment, like don't have sex till you're married. But like I said, I didn't know why.
It's not necessarily a commandment.
It's don't commit adultery. So, I mean, is that not sex outside of marriage?
No.
What is it then?
Adultery is cheating.
So where does it say don't have sex outside of marriage?
It says that a lot.
Okay. It's not a commandment, but it is in the Bible. A lot.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Y'all know I got to brush up on my skills. But where was I going with that?
All you knew was that they told you not to do it.
So it was don't have sex until you're married and don't have sex until you're gonna get pregnant. So I was like, one day I was like, you know, I ain't gonna lie, I'm willing to take that chance. Let me see what happens. So Jonathan's like, oh Jesus.
You know, hey, let's go.
Yeah, we're getting there. So I was like, let me just see. So, you know, it happened. And I'm like, all right, I get my period. And I'm like, I'm not pregnant. I didn't get pregnant. And I'm like, everything seems cool. I'm like, well, let me see what else. Let me just explore this more. So I'm doing the things and I'm not knowing what's going to happen to me emotionally, what it's going to do to my confidence, soul ties. We didn't really speak much about soul ties. I don't understand how I get attached and ignore red flags from people because my body is attached to someone. And when you have sex with someone outside of marriage just have sex with someone in general, you're connected. And like, sometimes it doesn't matter what that person says or does. You just cannot withdraw yourself from that person. And I was just not aware of those things. And then on top of that, I feel like I couldn't tell anybody what I was going through because I keep saying God bless my old church. But I remember one day, one of the girls, she was a bit older than me. Maybe she's like 10 years older than me. She went up and she told someone, because she thought she was pregnant. So she had to tell them, like, I think I'm pregnant, blah, blah, blah. Turns out she wasn't pregnant. Poor thing. She told them and they read her out of fellowship. And if you don't know what that means, like it's not a ceremony at breaking of bread.
That's crazy.
Or at communion, yes. You have to sit in the back and they tell everyone, I don't know if they tell them why, but they let them know that like so-and-so is being read out of fellowship for a few months or whatever the case may be. This was so long ago. But after I saw that, I said, I'm never saying anything to anyone ever. because the pastor's daughter can't get read out. I can't get read out. Are you kidding? My parents will kill me.
It's like like there's already shame just naturally because of how the devil works, and it's like I feel like that's just heaping so much more shame onto the situation that could just be treated so much more delicately.
Yeah, it was. It has to be embarrassing, and like during communion, like they pass around the things. We don't do it like that anymore at our church, but they'll like literally skip over you, and it's embarrassing. And when it came to sex, also, we just uncovered this the other day. We had a whole like family discussion about sex during my mom's 60th birthday dinner. My dad's like, "So, everyone's sitting here. Did you guys have sex before you guys got married?" We're all like, me and my brother's looking at each other. Jonathan's like eating his food. He's like, "I'm not doing this." But I was like, you know what, Mom? It kind of like, we never spoke about sex. My mom and we never spoke about sex. It was just, don't do it. My dad, he asked me a couple of times. I do remember him asking me just randomly, like, "Hey, Jess, are you a virgin?" I'm like, "I'm not having this conversation with you." But I was like, "Mom, like, why don't you talk to me about sex?" And I found out that her parents never spoke to her about sex. It's like, we really could have uncovered so much more things. It could have, helped save me from a lot of things. Like, just telling me don't have sex till you're married was not enough. Especially since my mom, she didn't have sex until she was married. She got married at 19. So I'm like, girl, you ain't lived no type of life yet. Like, for me, I was like, oh, you got it easy. But that's not necessarily everyone's story. But she was like, honestly, I didn't know what to say. My parents never spoke to me about sex ever either. So it's like a generational thing. And I mean, I definitely plan to break that. But sometimes like I just felt like I couldn't even be mad at my parents because they're doing what they know, but I just wish that I could have gotten more from my church community or like my parents, just talk to me more about it so I could have avoided some things. And I'm definitely gonna tell my daughter. I don't know if I'm gonna tell her. I gotta give it to her in increments. Like,
of course,
it's a little bit. It's a lot.
And I think with the sex thing, especially for churches, definitely back then, and definitely more island black. I don't know what other people be doing.
Yeah.
But sex was always talked about with such hushed tones. So it's always like, it's like, hey, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
And when something is talked about like that and you feel like details are being withheld, then it's like, oh, this is not something we talk about.
Right.
This is not something that we bring up.
Yeah.
And that, and homosexuality, we're definitely treated as like the worst.
Yeah.
Like sins. Like, yeah, gossip all you want.
Yeah.
Be a glutton all you want.
You can lie a little bit.
Fine. Do whatever else, but don't get caught, having sex. Like that's like that level of shame that like is associated with it, keeps people from getting freedom. Like kept me from getting freedom. I had, a moment around the time and I just told my mom this. I told my mom this story like a few weeks ago. So now, like, I'm not afraid.
What did you tell her?
I'm not afraid of anyone knowing it now. Once my mom knows, I'm all right.
I feel you. My mom just found out at her dinner a month ago.
Yeah, once my mom knows, I don't care. But when I was 18 years old, I lost my virginity.
You told her that?
I did.
Where
I did
was
tell
I?
her. I don't. You don't come to the house on Sundays anymore.
Oh my goodness.
Jess hates football, so she does it anytime it's football Sunday. She makes herself scarce.
I have plans.
Yeah, but that happened, and then months later, the girl told me, "Oh, I missed my period," and when I tell you how ashamed, how afraid, how scared I was, and like the day she told me was the day before my grandfather's funeral, and that's the grandfather that, I mean, both my grandfathers are outstanding, amazing men. This is the grandfather that was a pastor, and like all these people were coming up to me the day of the funeral saying, "Oh, my kids look up to you, my." Like your grandfather's inspiration, your family's an inspiration, and I just felt tremendous amounts of shame. I only told one person. I told my cousin, but I'm like, I can't let anyone else know about this. Yeah. But like in reality, that should have been like, there should have been maybe more safe spaces for me to like let that be an outlet. But I felt like nobody could know, and like me sheltering in, it's like me saying like, like if anyone knows this, like that's the end of me. Like that's it. And she ended up not like saying, oh, she got her period later, but like that tremendous amount of shame. And I feel like it's because we never talk about sex as something that, you know, is like normal. Like, because sex is normal. Sex is beautiful. Sex is a lovely thing. And it's a lovely thing that's so, you know, good and nice and sacred, and just needs to be shared within the context of marriage because it's so powerful. That's not something you want to give away to everyone. And if that's a conversation that's had and it's had freely, it's like, oh, it's like, it's not a nothing, but there's no need to be afraid to talk about it.
Right.
You know, so I think that's like part of like the preacher's kid experience.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, this is a little off topic, but as soon as I got engaged, that's when everybody, all the Sister Shirley, Sister Patsy, everybody wanted to talk to me about sex. They're all giving me all these tips and stuff. I'm like, you're late. I already know what I'm doing.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
I'm like,
oh, my God.
You're a few years late, but thanks.
Oh, my gosh.
I hope my parents don't see this because, like, they know a little bit, but it's going to be too much in one day. I love you guys if you are watching this. Y'all did a great job. You did what you could with what you knew. But I don't want, for anyone who is a pastor's kid and they're like, well, I'm doing fine. This isn't this, you know, is it the stigma? This isn't everybody. This isn't every pastor's kid experience. And it doesn't have to be either. And I really do hate that that's the thing. Because it's like, some of my friends, I remember saying like, oh, I want like a church boy or whatever. And they're like, oh, they're just as bad, if not worse, as the boys who don't go to church. And like, I don't want that to be the thing. Sometimes, I mean, people are people. Whether you go to church or not, you're going to be who you want to be. The pastor's kid title doesn't make you worse. In some cases, it probably doesn't help depending on how things are done in your house. But like some pastors' kids, this is kind of us, but not really, are like extremely sheltered. And I do think sheltering as a whole, whether you're a pastor's kid or not, is what makes people break out later. Like they go off to college, they see a whole new world, and it's a wrap. They start turning up. But I think the sheltering, oh, you babe. Yeah, I think that's what really messes with a lot of pastors' kids, because they get over sheltered and then they finally get that one drink of alcohol or whatever, and it's like, oh my gosh, I need this. Not saying that your pastor needs to be like, hey, have this so you know what it's like, so you don't get shocked later. Hey, go ahead and hit this blunt. Just, I want you to experience it with me. So
no, I think my parents were, I think they did a really good job in general, you know, of protecting me from things that I needed to be protected from, to shield my innocence, and then exposing me to other things. I think they did a really good job in general.
Yeah, your dad let you listen to secular music, but he's like, let me listen to it first.
Gosh.
Yeah.
No, let me tell you something about.
Helpful.
No, let me tell you something about what my father did. Pastor Gary did.
He's so good
with secular music. So like, you know, at first, like he would only make me like these like CDs of like songs that from like his generation, his era, that I can listen to. But then like I started getting into like, you know, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. I'm like, I want to listen to like whatever I want to listen to. As before Spotify, before Apple Music, where you can just listen to whatever.
LimeWire.
Well, no, LimeWire existed. It just wasn't downloaded on any of his computers. Like he's computer savvy, so like I wasn't getting that over him. Okay, so any song I wanted to download from iTunes, he would have me pull up the lyrics of the song on the screen, and I'd have to wait for him to come read the lyrics. After he read the lyrics, if he said yes or no, if he said yes, I could download the song. He would then listen to the clean version of the song, but if it didn't sound clean enough, he would make me go into like the audio file and like clip out the parts that were close to the curse words. So that's just like a funny. I don't know.
I don't hate it. I think
it's funny.
It's meeting in the middle, at least a little bit.
It is, but I think they did a really great job. I think the only thing differently that I would do as a parent is talk more about sex.
That's what I was gonna ask you. What? Because you're a pastor. Well, you're not a pastor, but I see it on you. Everyone sees it on you, even if you don't end up being a pastor. Which I can't even imagine a world where you're not gonna be a pastor. What do you think we'll do different with our kids?
Honestly, I think they did such a good job. I think the only thing I would really do differently, like I can like know for sure I'd do differently, is talk about sex more often from younger.
How young?
Bro, like start elementary school. I remember I was in 4th grade at a Christian school when guys would be like, "You and her."
Oh my gosh,
bro! 4th grade. There was like 8 years old. So it's like, I want the first place that my kids hear about sex from is me. So obviously you don't give them the full rundown, but you start to expose them to things. And when you talk about it, it's not like, "Hey, come sit down next to me and we need to have a talk."
Right.
You know, like we could just talk. And then from there, it's like, if they have a question about anything or someone brings something up at school, it's like they can bring it back to me because they know I'm going to be honest and open with them. And it doesn't have to be weird.
Right.
I think that's what I would like to do differently for the most part. Otherwise, I mean, I think they did awesome.
Yeah. My thing with that, and of course I definitely want to be open with my kids. I want them to be able to talk to me. Like for me, when I was younger, I had to hide majority of my relationships until I was like 17, 18. I was like, what are you going to do? I'm driving now. But like my mom didn't let me date. And I mean, I get it, but I'm just afraid, and you know, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But like, I'm going to be like, open communication. And my kid's going to come to me and be like, at 15, like, "Mom, I'm ready to have sex. I'd like to get on birth control." And be like, "Huh?" I feel like I'm going to shut down. I'm like, no, talk to your father. I don't know. Someone sent her to Jamaica to live with her great grandmother. No, I can't do it. I don't know, because there are repercussions to being so open. It's like, okay, you want to know what's going on, Mom? I had sex last night. I lost my virginity last night. Where do we go from here? I mean, I do want her to tell me, or if there is a her or him, to tell me, but I'm honestly not sure where I would go from there. I guess we cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, it's something you definitely cross when you get to it. I think being open doesn't necessarily mean allowing like foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like even when you're open, like you still have like expectations.
Right.
You know, we still have expectations, and we still have rules. Where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I'm gonna listen to you and I'm not gonna shame you.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and I think more than anything, I want our kids to understand Jesus' love for them.
Yes, that's important.
So it's like more important than the rule is knowing that Jesus loves you, and that there is a way out, and that like once you mess up, you're not damaged good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, if they have a rebellious heart, I mean, I think that's a little different than I made a mistake. Like, is that okay? Like, I made a mistake and they run to you. Like, is that okay?
Right.
Yeah. I done made way more mistakes than I care to discuss.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm with you. I think that's different than like a rebellious heart. Like someone that like doesn't want to follow God at all. I think even like when I was like kind of not like with God, I still wanted to do right for the most part in general. You know
it was
what I'm
always
saying?
in the back of our heads and hearts. Like even when I was outside wilding, I always had that conviction. I would ignore it and shove it in a box. Like, shh, stop, leave me alone. Like I remember when I was just doing whatever I wanted to do, the only time I would pray is when I was praying for my food, and I'd make it quick. Like, God, thank you for this food. Amen. Because we can't talk right now because I know I need time before I come back. But that's being a kid is so weird because you think you know everything, but you don't. But that's just something that we would have to navigate later. I do think that hopefully I would be able to talk to my kid a little bit more, because like with my mom, bless her, I love y'all. I don't have to keep saying this, but I love my mom. She's my best friend. But like I said, like my dad was her first boyfriend, and she didn't have sex until she was married. So she couldn't understand, like when I was 16 and I want to date someone, she's like, "Can you see yourself marrying him?" I was like, "I don't know." She's like, "Then why are you dating him?" I was like, "I don't know. Like I just want to date. I want to see things." And like she didn't know what it was like to be like a 27 and like whatever and not married and stuff like that, because that wasn't her experience. But I feel like I'll be able to relate more, because I feel like I couldn't talk to my mom about certain things. I'm like, what do you know? Like, whatever. But I mean, we can talk about anything now, but back then it was harder to relate. So I feel like we missed a little gap of things that could have been talked about and cured back then that haven't been. But, you know, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have any, I don't know if you wanted to touch on anything else on this topic. I have like final words.
Okay, so that was just a little bit of our experience, but we want to end it with like some advice for people who may be pastors' kids, or even if you're just a younger Christian and you're struggling with where to go next and like how to do this. we just want to leave you guys with something that you can take from this video.
Yeah, I think for me, since the biggest thing I dealt with was shame and not knowing who I could, talk to. I think the biggest thing that like I kind of want people to know is that you really can be forgiven. Like I used to not really believe that like God forgave me and that the forgiveness was unconditional, and like the sin, like my sins from yesterday, today and like forever, we're all forgiven.
Right.
So it's like, or like I'd be like, God, I know you say you forgave me, but like I would like hold the gates of my own prison, like, and be like, no, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. And he's like, no, come out. Like the door's open. He's like, no, I don't deserve it. And I remember I heard this like poem. I don't know if it's a poem or it was part of a hymn or whatever, but it's like, oh, how the accuser like may roar of sins that I have done. I know them all and thousands more, but Jehovah knoweth none.
Oh,
right? So it's like, I know all the things that I've done. And then the devil or the enemy or whatever you want to call him is sure to remind you, people around you, people in your church, people like may remind you of all the things that you've done or all the things that you've said. And it's like, I know all of those more, and I know thousands more than that. But God remembers none of them. That when when you accept his forgiveness, it really doesn't have a condition. That you can, for even like the things you hold against yourself, you need to forgive yourself because God has already forgotten about that a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's like it's already forgotten, and you're carrying burdens that you don't need to carry. So I think it's time for somebody, they need to let go of the burdens because Jesus put them all on the cross.
Ooh,
so that you don't have to carry them anymore because they're already on him. So you're just carrying weights that you don't need to carry anymore. And that's, I think, the message that I needed, that it's like it's already done. Like it's already finished.
Yeah.
So for somebody, don't keep carrying burdens that aren't yours to carry anymore.
That's good, babe. I love when you talk like that. For me, what I would say, and I kind of said this in one of my vlogs earlier, but I have a little something extra to add to it. I think something that was really hard for me when I was growing up at my old church was that I didn't have people my age to relate to or to talk to. So I think it's great for you to find accountability partners or a partner. It could be one or two. Obviously, if you're like 16, 15, you can't, or can, I don't know. Everyone's situation is different. We can't just get up and leave your parents' church and go wherever you want. But maybe find like a Wednesday group or a Friday youth group or something where you can find like-minded people around your age. I feel like if I had that, it would have helped me so much. It would help me so much. But I was just like tight-lipped, quiet, because I was the example to the younger girls. But I didn't have anyone being an example to me, around me. And I also think that when you do find those people, you need to be honest and let go. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but tell them what you're going through, because when you hide things, it keeps you in bondage. There's freedom in transparency. So I really feel like being transparent about what you're going through, no matter how bad it is, find one person that you trust to tell. Because once you let it out, you feel free. It's like, I feel like now that someone knows, they can hold me accountable. We can work on ways to get better at this, and just go from there. But yeah.
On top of what you said, and like kind of adding to that, finding that safe space. Not all churches, not all bodies of bodies of Christ, like communities, are gonna be safe haven. Like not everyone is. There are some people and there are some places that they just want to gossip, right? So you're gonna tell the truth, and you're gonna be honest with them, and then they're gonna spread it around. But you want to find a place, you want to find a body of believers that are really going to help you grow and be safe to be vulnerable. And with finding accountability partners, it's also finding someone that can mentor you, someone that you feel safe telling that's above you, like not above you in like status, but is above you, has gone further in their like Christian walk, so that they can pour into your life from they've been there before. Just having someone that's done what that's been where you've been, to kind of show you how to, navigate that area of life.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a question for you though. This is kind of random, but was you cussing growing up?
No, I wasn't.
You weren't cussing?
No, I wasn't.
Were the people around you cussing?
Not too much. Not too much. I mean, when I got to high school, I went to like regular high. I went to like regular.
Oh yeah,
high
you went
school.
to a Christian school growing up for a little bit.
Yeah,
for a while,
yeah, but
actually.
even some people cursed there, but it wasn't like everyone was cursing. But when I went to high school, sorry,
Yeah.
when I went to high school, like people were cursing, but I didn't.
You ever pick that straight up?
No, actually, it's like bad. It's like the past like 3 years, it's been harder to not curse than like when I was a kid.
Life is harder now. I make you want to cuss. And I remember I was trying so hard to cuss when I was younger because like everyone else is cussing. So at school, I'm like, I got to start cussing. So I was like trying to cuss. Like I said like one word and then after that.
Wait, do you say cuss or curse?
It depends on the way I'm saying it.
I would definitely say curse. Cuss sounds so like.
Are you cursing?
Southern.
That's
Southern.
too much. The
Cussing?
R is so strong.
You cussing?
Like you just cuss? Are you curse? Like the R is so strong. It's like, well, I'm not gonna say it, but the R is too strong. Anyways, I remember I was trying to cuss or curse at school, and my friend called me out. She's like, "How do you just say that word and then you say dang?" Like, I was like, "Dang, she caught me." Like, I said, "I need to go harder next week." Like, practice my cussing in the mirror. I'm like,
Oh, that's really bad.
for me, it is bad. I mean,
my mom says she used to practice curse words in the mirror too.
I'm telling you, I really feel like me and Jonathan's mom, we're so alike, like in ways that we don't even know. It's so funny, but I don't. Every now and then, I had a little cuss, like especially if I hurt myself.
I mean, it might be a hot take. I don't think curse words are necessarily. Never mind. I'm not even gonna get myself in trouble.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
it
doesn't take away your salvation.
Well, nothing does.
Yes.
But I just feel like I don't know even why we're even here. How you speak to people is more important than if you're saying one specific word or another word.
I'm not gonna respond because
I don't think there's anything necessarily like in a word.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know because like, see, I don't cuss that often, but every time like I do, you look at me with so much disappointment. You're like,
no, it's because
you're like, not you.
No, the reason is because my dad, it's what he hated more than anything. It's like, I'd rather have you smoke weed than be cursing. No, serious. That's what he told me. He told me that for real.
That's funny because every time you're like, I don't think cussing's that bad, but if I even let one out, you're like, what are you doing?
Well, no, it's inside it. It's in my bones. It's in my bones. It's in my bones.
We try to keep a clean mouth. Clean
oh,
heart,
for sure.
Clean heart, clean mouth. We're not perfect, but you're slipping out sometimes. But anyways, anything else you want to say, babe?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I have too. I think this one might have been a little bit shorter, but I think it was just nice to kind of let you guys know where we came from, and a little bit of where we're going now. Before we go into much more of having much more of this podcast. I almost did the podcast. So we thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for all the sweet comments you've left so far. We really appreciate it.
No, for real though.
You guys have been really great. So you guys can like DM me if you have any questions. I'll leave my Instagram right here, or you can leave a comment. You can DM Jonathan if you want to, but you don't really check his Instagram.
I might or might not get to it. Like I only want to Instagram through like the browser.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Never mind. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it another day.
Yeah, that's for another day. But we love you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys in our next podcast.
Next pod.
Bye.